What's good, YouTube? DM Gaming here, guys. Hope everybody's having an awesome day. Guys, really cool stuff to talk about today. I will tell you up front, I don't have any new information, okay? The purpose of this video is taking what we've learned, the information that we know so far, and I want to present to you how you can get the most out of the game. What is going to give you the best overall experience based off of the information that we currently have for College Football 26, guys. So if you've been enjoying the content thus far and you're not a Poindexter, subscribe to the channel. Click that sub button, the bell icon, all of that good stuff, guys. It's free. Don't cost you nothing. It's just a click of the button. You click to get on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Just click that sub button. And so the information that we've gotten, guys, because this is the deal. Like I'm getting all of this information in, okay? And in my eyes, in my vision, like I'm seeing the process of this game. I'm seeing the depth of this game. Now, the cool thing about all of this is that your gameplay experience is fully customizable. If you don't like wear and tear, you can turn wear and tear off. If you don't want to have to sub guys out, you don't have to use the sub features. You can turn fatigue off. You can adjust your gameplay sliders to create the experience that you want to create. That's kind of the big thing that I don't like when people complain about a game. In a sense, with football, like I get it gameplay wise, you can't really affect that too much. But one thing that I don't understand is like you can literally go into your game right now into the gameplay sliders and adjust it. Computer's getting too many interceptions, adjust the computer interception ratio, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, you still need to get better at playing the game. But this game, including College Football 26, is really geared to give you the best experience possible. Even in Dynasty mode, you can put on help to get recruiting. You can put on help to manage your schedule and all those kinds of things and your rosters and stuff so you can just get to the game. Me personally, and this is what I really want to hit on is, guys, this is a simulation football game. And honestly, one of, if not the best simulation college football game to date. Now, in order to get the most out of it, I implore you all to utilize the features necessary. They all tie in together, okay? Formation subs, okay? Being able to sub on the fly without having to go to the pause menu. Wear and tear, dynamic lighting, the recruiting aspect. All of these things come together cohesively to form a simulation game the likes of which we've never seen. And they all go together. And to me, I did a video on wear and tear, guys. I gotta harp on it. I can't stress enough how big of a deal wear and tear is. And the improvements to it this year, having it to where it lasts the season. Like you have your wear and tear for the game, but it builds up over the season and it builds up over the career of the individual athlete. So y'all, I'll say it like this, and I talked about this with 25. In previous college football games, you had your starting lineup. And the only time you would put your backups in is if you were just ahead in the game. And the game would automatically sub them in too as well. It's really cool. But you never gave account for who your third string running back was, who your backup quarterback was, who your third, fourth string receiver was, I don't even think people pay attention to who their backup lineman was in the game. A lot of people just pay attention to those skill positions, Nobody pays attention to the backups in a sense, or even the third string for that matter. But with the way that this game is set up, with wear and tear, God bless, dude, that is huge. Because now when you're recruiting, you're gonna have to go and get those guys. You can't just spend all your time, hey, I just need this game-breaking running back. You're gonna have some guys that can help carry the load. Now you see how in college football, you see all of these dual back systems and these teams that run 2 and sometimes 3 different running backs. You know, they're rotating their receivers in and out. You have packages set up so that you can literally have a completely different personnel based off of what you see on Saturdays. Like it's so cool. And then you can build your playbook. Guys, you can literally have two different offensive schemes in this game if you so chose. You can create your playbook where half of it is option, half of it is spread. And with formation subs, you can literally have a spread package and a option package. You can destroy teams that way. You know what I'm saying? Just because of how the game is set up. You know? Hey, I run veer and shoot, and there's a stack formation where it puts your starters, they're stacked behind. You have two receivers on both sides of the field, but they're stacked behind each other. Generally, your starting running receiver is at the front. No, they're at the back in this formation. And so what I like to do is take my speediest guys and make them the starters. And here's the deal. They're not always the best overall receivers, okay? So putting them as starters because that speed, and I really like to run out of that package, I don't necessarily have the best receivers on the field at that point in time. Formation subs is a game changer for me because now I can have my best overall receivers starting, being second string or whatever, and I can package in those speedy guys for that particular package, you know, to be able to utilize those things. That's the depth that formation subs gives you, man. You're able to make different packages. A lot of us have multiple quarterbacks on our rosters right now, and there is this second string and sometimes a very elusive third string quarterback that's like, man, this guy's elusive. He can run, but he's not skilled enough to be my starter. But gosh, I would love to give him some playing time. I would love to put him in the game on certain packages. And instead of having to go to the game and do like on the play call screen, you can do a package where you could do like the backup quarterback and stuff like that. But that takes time. And I know some people will say, well, why? Formation subs is kind of already in the game. No, formation subs, you set that on the outside of your play now screen or your Dynasty game where you're in the main menu of Dynasty. And so it all throughout the season, anytime you're in that package, that's who you have in the game. So now I can utilize more efficiently having that elusive quarterback on a certain package where I need his speed and elusiveness. I can utilize, hey, in a certain package, if I have a running back that's a little bit more of a bruiser that fits more of like the scheme that's there, or whatever the case may be, you know, I can have a speed package where a certain formation, I have the fastest guys on my team at every position on the field at one time. The level of depth and creativity that this is providing to the game, guys, is astronomical. And then you top wear and tear on top of that. You want to manage your team. You want your team to be as healthy as possible for this playoff run because they're increasing the amount of games in the playoffs. These seasons are very long. I'm telling you right now that if you do not manage wear and tear properly, your guys aren't going to be 100% for that big game if you're trying to make the national championship. And yeah, I know you can just turn it off. That's the simple thing to do, but you're losing immersion when you do that. Leave these features on and utilize these features, and you will begin to see a new level of depth to the college football gaming world. Being able to have those backup guys. Now you're going to pay attention to recruiting more. Hey, I need to get 2 or 3 different running backs. When the game tells you your player needs, which it puts it at the forefront this year, when it tells you you need 2 quarterbacks, you need 2 quarterbacks. When it says you need 3 running backs, you need 3 running backs. A lot of times we would just get 1 running back. You know, we just get, and then the backup, hey, the backup is whatever because they only come in for a certain amount of plays or whatever like that. Nah, man, now it's going to be equally more important to have 2, maybe even 3 different running backs on your roster, depending on your scheme. You know what I'm saying? It's all dependent on your scheme, which is also very important. You're gonna have to pay attention to the guys that you recruit. I talked about it in yesterday's video. If you're gonna run a spread concept, you need players to match the spread. If you're gonna run a power concept, a run concept, you're gonna need players to match that. It does no good to have linemen that are great at pass blocking but terrible at run blocking, but you run the option. It does no good to have guards that are big and burly and can't move, but you want to run an option style offense or a spread offense, you're going to have the personnel. Okay? You're going to have the personnel to match. And I feel like that the recruiting aspect, the wear and tear aspect, the formation sub aspect, those main three things, guys, when you put those things together, they make a phenomenal experience. The level of depth in this game is going to be unreal. Unreal, dude. And that ain't even touching Road to Glory. Road to Glory, the whole high school thing, it's a bummer. Hey, 5 games, but you don't play the full game. But even the realism in that in and of itself, like we talked about yesterday, the Road to Glory part, guys, you have those 4 moments. And after looking at that information, I feel better about it because I'm like, I asked the question, why do we pick our moments? That makes no sense to pick moments before the game. But then once you see how the recruiting works in Road to Glory, it makes sense. And you see how schemes work and player archetypes work. It makes sense. They thought about you. They thought about us. They said, hey, you may be a receiving running back, okay? It does no good for you to rush for 250 yards a game being a receiving running back, and you're trying to go to a team that passes the ball all the time, that utilizes a receiving running back. Even more so, they thought about you. They thought about the level of depth. I hate how people say, oh, they're lazy. Bro, that's not lazy. That's thinking outside the box. So not only did they make it to where you have different archetypes, they also made it to where you pick the moments that you want to do that's going to benefit your player for your particular archetype. Not only that, but some teams will give you a bonus for completing certain goals and others won't. I.e., for example, if I'm trying to go to a spread school, a school that runs the spread, they're going to give me bonuses for completing goals that aligns with that scheme. Okay? If I'm a receiving back, they may say, hey, catch 20 passes or 2 20-yard plus yards after reception. Okay? And then the schools that run the spread and run those types of schemes, they're going to say, yes, that's good. We'll give him bonus points for that. But say like an Army or an Air Force or a school that runs the option, they're going to say, we don't utilize receiving running backs like that. So they're not going to give a bonus for that. Like, do you see the level of depth right there? That alone will cause me to play Road to Glory this year. And I reached out to Scott O'Gallagher on Twitter. I tweeted him just asking him about the camera angles. He hasn't said anything yet, but I know from the article yesterday, the guy didn't mention anything about it. He actually said that they were the same camera angles from last year, but I just wanted to kind of confirm that, get some confirmation on that. I'll just get used to the camera angle, okay? But guys, the level of depth and attention to detail that's gone into this game is phenomenal. Now, on the surface, yeah, I understand things from a gameplay standpoint. You want the O-line to block better. You want defensive backs to play differently. And those things are in the game. I'm talking about the mechanisms underneath the watch that makes the clock tick. You know what I'm saying? Those are the elements that I'm talking about. Those underneath the cover gameplay elements that makes it all come together from an immersion standpoint. The gameplay can be great, but if you don't have those mechanics that simulate simulation football, then you're missing the boat. You know what I'm saying? From recruiting, being able to, now that's one thing I do want to see more of. Okay? Not necessarily more of, but I never saw it in my dynasty where a player would decommit from a school after verbally committing. It happens a lot, not a whole lot, but it happens. And I've only seen it happen one time and it was to me actually, where a player locked me out after verbally committing. And then, but I've never seen it happen from another team or anything of that effect, So, maybe tweaking that a little bit. But as far as recruiting goes, this is cool. They've even thought about the realism of how smaller schools get their recruits, how smaller schools, they don't have the resources. This is one thing they talked about last year, and they did achieve that with the recruiting hours. Your smaller schools don't have as much resources, so they don't get as many recruiting hours. They've gone a step further this year to even say, hey, when you're scheduling a player to come and visit, if they're in your pipeline or they're in your backyard, it's not going to cost you as much to get those players. And thus, you're going to recruit more in your area. And that is exactly what smaller schools do. They recruit more in this area, in your area. When I went to Southern Arkansas, they didn't recruit people from Oregon and Washington and New York and even California for that matter. A lot of the people that they recruited in Southern Arkansas were from Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and maybe Florida. You may have some transfers from Florida that came, but the majority of people were in that general area. Why? Because they don't have the resources to send guys out all across the country because the coaching staff is limited in number, as opposed to a bigger university like a Clemson or an Auburn or an Alabama or a Texas, where they have those types of resources to send those people out and about. It is so cool that they're bringing that level of depth, that level of clarity, that level of realism to the college football gaming world. And you have to take advantage of those features, guys. We harp on graphics, we harp on presentation, we harp on equipment and stuff like that. But there is not enough love given to the mechanisms underneath it all that makes this train go. And those are the things that are big. Wear and tear system is huge. Formation subs is huge. The playbook scheming is huge. Having schemes and players that fit certain schemes is huge, because be real, if your players don't fit your scheme, you're not going to be as productive on the field. That's why you can play with one team and seemingly blow another team out. And then you can play that same offense with a different team in your dynasty mode, and it seems like you struggle to put points on the board. Why? It's not because you so much. It's more because you got players on your team that don't fit your scheme. So in real life, when you go into a new program as a new coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, whatever, the first thing you do is start recruiting people to fit your scheme. College coaches do this in real life. That's why people was all up in arms whenever Prime went to Colorado and was like, hey, hit the portal, this and that. If you ain't fitting what we doing, guys, and people was like, oh, he's so disrespectful to me. No, he's not. Every coach does it. Every coach at the Division I level, at the Power 4 level, definitely, they do that. Why? Because, hey, if I'm trying to run the spread, let's say I go to Army or Navy and I try to run veer and shoot. Those players don't fit that scheme. I got to go with what I got at that moment in time, but eventually I'm going to start recruiting guys that's going to fit my offensive or defensive scheme. And the game reflects all of this. The one thing that I can't wait is that they develop more player archetypes, and they do what they do in Madden, where they show you your players and they say, hey, this is a key fit for your particular scheme. See, right now in the game, they show you what you need for players. And I hope that they do this year. It may be in the game this year. They haven't said yet. But I hope they do this year, because it's going to add so much more depth. Whenever they tell you the players that you need, I want them to tell you that based off of your scheme. So, like I said in yesterday's video, 2 examples. I have 2 offensive linemen. Okay, one of them is more of your run blocking. One of them is more of your pass blocking type offensive lineman, a little bit more agility and stuff like that. You know, I'm running a power. I'm running a veer and shoot. So I need a more agile pass blocking type of lineman. Okay, so in my recruiting screen, it knows my scheme. And it compares these 2 linemen and it says, hey, this one fits your scheme, this one doesn't. The game doesn't do that right now. It just says, hey, you need a left tackle. Hey, you need a right guard. It's up to you as the individual to know, hey, look at this player's archetype. Is he this type of player? Yeah, he fits my scheme. Let me get him. But having the game kind of tell you that from your player needs, I think would be a huge update as far as scheming and stuff like that goes. So, guys, let me know what y'all think, man. This is just really more of one of those types of videos to just put it out there, dude, that we're approaching something very unique in the gaming world, in the college football gaming world, that the ceiling is so high for this franchise. And so far, they've been doing a phenomenal job of listening to the fans and giving us the things that we want and desire, and showing that they are really in touch with what's going on. Now, understand this is a yearly release, so we're not going to get everything we want this year. But as the years go on, as we continue to support this product, hopefully, I don't want to see them go the way of Madden. Madden, I think, has gotten too corporatized. There's so much going on that the fans aren't at the forefront of what goes on in Madden. College football is a little bit more closer to home. You know what I'm saying? And I can't wait to see what they do with this game going forward. And I'm thankful to be a part of it, being able to share this information with y'all and things like that. And the growth is phenomenal. I'm very grateful. Guys, that's all I got for right now, man. Till next time, y'all. Thanks for watching. Peace.